Yeah, hurley! What's good, everybody? It's your boy Romanpuss here. I'm going to go over the 6 years of One Piece Bounty Rush and the best step-ups that we have had. Now, if you have not already watched the best Bounty Fest, you can go ahead and I will link that video down below. But this is going to be the best step-ups. They are the lower tier level of 4-star units in One Piece Bounty Rush that honestly have scaled horrendously. They're basically turd-like, and they're not really playable. They're pretty much just there for support. But nevertheless, I'm going to go over the best run from each year that has been released in the game. And without further ado, let's get started. Okay, first one's up for the first year of One Piece Bounty Rush. I'm going to go with the one and only Zorojuro. He had a whopping base damage on his skill 1 in the lower 800s that actually could clap people, and that was one-shotting back in the day. Granted, it's not like people aren't really one-shotting now, but it's still a little bit insane. This was the blue attacker. Homeboy was whopping people with that top knot, and I ain't gonna lie, he was cooking. He was the first one to kind of have ranged basic attacks on a melee character, if that makes any sense. And he had a larger amount of range, so he could really abuse that, and he had the damage increase as well as the damage reduction while he was on his own flag. So he really was able to do a lot with his kit, which made him much better than a lot of the units that were out there at the time. So this is a weird state of the game back in the day because step-ups were actually really, really good and really playable. So it's kind of crazy to think that that was actually a thing. Now, before I move on to the next year, I do want to give an honorable mention to Time Skip Luffy. Homeboy did have his invincibility skill, which was a game changer for the meta, because invincibility, as we all know, is one of the most game-breaking abilities in the game. Let's move on. Okay, year number 2 comes with Dr. Law Dressrosa Law. Homeboy has the shock with his counter. If you were actually dumb enough to hit his counter, it would basically one-shot. It did a lot of damage and would delete your health. And on top of that, he had a skill 1, which did the percentage damage as well as healed him. So he ran around, he was the runner, and his basic attacks were actually really good as well. So at that time, this Law was actually able to cook really well. Unfortunately, there were other units. There's still people like Blackbeard out there that could just one-shot Devil Fruit users as a whole. So he was still killable, but nevertheless still viable because he is a runner. Now, runners have generally always been top tier, and then attackers have kind of been secondary, and then defenders have kind of been the worst for the most part throughout the lifespan of One Piece Bounty Rush. But this Law actually did pretty well. He lacked the ability to be mobile, but he still was able to get flags, and he could just kill people off the flag. The game was a little bit less toxic at the time. I wouldn't say not toxic, because it definitely was with Blackbeard and Shanks and all those other EXs, but it was a little bit less. So without further ado, that was Law for the second year. This next one should come to no surprise. I think is honestly had the best reputation of all step-ups in existence, I would say. And if you don't know or how great she was, then you need to rewind back in time. But for year 3, Golden Week was an absolute monster. Miss Golden Week from the Baroque Works, that's right. She had the ability to become invincible but actually make moves. Now, they had actually done this before on a different character, such as the 3-star Green Runner Bonnie, but she was not able to do any actions or perform any movements. She could only move around and not actually do any attacking or flag capping, which sucked. So you were just simply a body. Whereas Golden Week was able to take flags, attack, and use her other skill while she was using her skill 2. This lasted a few seconds, and then if you ran the Warlord support, that would extend it by 30%, which gave you a few extra seconds, which made it perfectly timed, so where you could use skill 2, then you could use skill 1 if you used the right metal set, and then by the time the skill 1 was up, which removed the enemy's ability to attack you, by the time that was up, your skill 2 would be back again, and you could just permanently loop people into invincibility, which would work really well if you were able to land your skills perfectly. This was phenomenal against EX units such as Green Roger, especially them just spamming their skills and them not being able to do anything to you because they're not a defender as well, which really helped. So Golden Week, she had the debuffs as well on her basic attacks. I would love to see her get a buff, would actually be insane, but I think it'd be too much, and it's very unlikely. So this unit probably had the best run of a step-up in all of One Piece Bounty Rush's lifetime. So I'm going to give her, she was probably the best step-up out of everything that I'm going to say in this video. All right, next, number 4, we're going to go with Vista. Homeboy's a runner, but basically an attacker. He does good amounts of damage. He's got the heals on the crits. He's got the buffs on buffs that he keeps giving, and then he has the counter as well. So in a way, he does have a form of invincibility. He did have the damage. His basic attacks are actually pretty nice. He has that Rose Rondo that lets him rapid fire attack. He had a lot going for him. And on top of that, he got buffed not too long ago, so he does have a little bit more going for him. So Vista actually can be a little bit of an insane monster when it comes to doing damage. Unfortunately, step-ups, as I said, aren't able to do just nearly as much or keep up with as much of EXs, because the EXs just have so much more to work with because they have so much more invincibility. It is the unfortunate reality of this game, but it is what we're living in. But Vista, definitely taking year 4. Now, I'll throw out the honorable mention because some of my alliance mates are going to have issues with it if I don't. So Film Red Nami, I think, could be pretty solid in League Battle. She's really good against dumb players, but if you have players who actually know what they're doing, they generally will not fall for the Film Red Nami. So she could have ran meta and kind of thrive, but no one really summoned for her either, so that was also another thing. But I think the power to turn invisible and run around and take flags can be very strong in League Battle, because a lot of players just don't pay attention or look at their minimap or realize who they're playing against is another thing. So that is one benefit that they have going for them. Next, let's talk about the year 5 is going to go to the Animal Kingdom Pirates Black Maria. Now, homegirl is a defender. She had the wall. Unfortunately, everything and its mother goes through walls in terms of skills and abilities. So that's just where it's at in the meta. So really, she's not able to do anything as of this moment or anymore. But it's fine. She had the ability to reduce and shred people's defense by 30%, which is huge, and can actually allow you to one-shot. She has fat damage increase on her basic attacks, which allows you to destroy a lot of people even with high damage reduction. I think she has up to 80% damage increase, which is disgusting for a defender. She's probably the most in the entire game for a defender. Correct me if I'm wrong. But that, her spider webs, and if they hit the spider webs and aren't immune to status effect, which usually doesn't exist anymore in the meta, but at the time it did a little bit. So people would hit the webs and they would get spider web, and then you could just use your skill 2 and just shred their defense, and then you could just one-shot them from there. So really, it was really nice to have, and it punished people who would actually just attack your shield, which worked heavily in your favor. All right, now let's talk about the last one is going to go to Gonfall. Homeboy has the ability to cut people's HP. He's got a counter. He's got high damage reduction. And on top of that, he heals every time he's knocked down. So if people aren't able to one-shot you in that time that they're going to knock you down, you're just going to heal back that 15%, which is really nice. So you have a good chunk of damage reduction when you're below that 50% threshold. And you can just have knockbacks for days as well. So you can really stall out a lot of runners that aren't immune to knockback, and you put people's skills on cooldown. So he has so much going for him. Gonfall is really nice. A lot of people, I think, swear by him too much in the actual meta. I think he's great for a step up. I don't think he's great overall in the meta compared to other units, because just other units, mainly EXs and a lot of overpowered bounty fests, are just better. So that's what happened. That's where it's at. And yeah, so Gonfall is going to take, like Dark Defender Gonfall is going to take the victory for this most recent year. They've really slowed down on step-ups. There's not really that many step-ups that release anymore. And honestly, I'm fine with it because they don't really do that much. There's no point, in my opinion, to summon for a unit that's just going to be a glorified 2 or 3 star in the game that's basically just fodder. So I don't know why they even do that. I don't know why they even create step-ups just for them to be useless. It drives me insane, but I guess that's what the game is at the moment. So yeah, that is our top step-ups. Let me know what you guys think. I want to see which y'all's list would be down below and what you guys would rank. I'm sure a few of you would either do Luffy instead of Onigashima Zoro, or potentially, I don't know, Film Red Nami or some Orabi. I know there's some other options out there that you could choose. So it was really hard to find the years that these characters release and get them in order and correct. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Be sure to like, follow, subscribe if you did, and check me out on Twitch, Twitter, Discord, playing games and stuff over there. So that's all I have for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm your boy Romanpuss, and I'm going to be taking off. Yeah, holy! Peace, beautiful people.